It's the most wonderful time of the year.
You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Welcome back. This is Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan, broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. The show is also brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency, and Extreme Exteriors. Before I get back into our conversation with attorney Nigel Mendez from Carlson & Associates, I'd like to let all our listeners know that we've got a free gift for you. We put together a bi-monthly newsletter, and it's free. It's called What's New. A lot of what we talk about on the show, we talk in further detail. In that newsletter, we have offerings of free webinars for those that are just moving into a homeowners association, want to know what this homeowner association thing is. How do you live? If you're a board member, what's your role as a president, vice president? How do you read a financial statement? We cover all kinds of just real great issues. People have said it's a great resource. Again, it's yours free. All you have to do is give us a call at 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori. She'll make sure that you start receiving your newsletter, either electronically or by mail. We've got over 23,000 subscribers. Well, Nigel, we're talking about this issue in Minnetonka that's taking place. And one of the claims we said in the last segment here is that that HUD was stating in the claim that they felt that the managing agent for the association failed to adequately distribute the rules about children's activities to residents. Now, we don't know, again, we don't know a lot because we're not privy to all of the details. But in the case of a experienced property management company, and this company certainly is, and I know talking to a lot of my colleagues in this industry, competitors alike, they're very thorough generally in terms of how they advise a client in moving forward. And I'm wondering of what took place. And to me, I could see this as being a scenario, but something not necessarily picked up by HUD. And that is the association sets up new rules. So they put those in place. They send them out to all of the unit owners, the people that own and are members of the association. In this particular case, this woman is renting from one of the owners. She is not a owner herself, and so I am thinking that there could be a disconnect possibly, and that disconnect would be with the owner of the unit itself, who may not have thought it necessary to distribute all of the rules and regulations to someone. And if that is the case, one of the things that to me could be very concerning here is that we're dealing with an entity that doesn't necessarily know how homeowner associations operate, and I think that could be a very important point in determining whether or not there was any wrong that was committed by the association's management company.
Sure. I agree in that scenario. I'm not sure I agree with the renting conclusion. The complaint does state that she's owned the unit since 2002, and that she's now lives there with her minor great-grandchildren. I think she is an owner. But regardless, if it was a tenant, that could happen. But a lot of experienced property managers, as this one was, and as you are, and like you said, your colleagues are, often will have a record of who the renters are, and will also disseminate the rules to the renters.
Yes,
because the rules they apply as well. If they didn't, and then the owner didn't pass it down, it's possible that would be a good argument to make that we did our best. But they also sent a letter in August 12th, after they'd already enacted the rule back in July, giving her a violation for the old rule. And in that letter, it says, also enclosed is a new rule governing children's playing on the complex. That indicates that we didn't send it to anybody else yet. We're sending a violation letter to you and giving you a copy of a new rule that also is going to apply to you. I think that's probably what HUD's upset about.
Okay, and again, again in reading it, I don't know that I got that. Going back to the issue of the management company and their responsibility, you're right. I know that an association, many of them do ask for the names of renters. They want to have a copy of the leases, and they want to know that a background check was done, and a lot of those things are fine and something that you can certainly ask for. That doesn't mean that you necessarily get that.
Sure.
One of the things that, again, came to my mind here, thinking of an analogy, if I'm a farmer and I'm selling milk to a restaurant, I'm once that restaurant has the milk, if they're not keeping it at a safe temperature and it gets out to someone who gets sick as a result, I don't know that you go back to the farmer, because the farmer doesn't have a control over the restaurant once that milk has released his hands. And the same thing certainly can happen with a condominium association, with a management company too. If it is the case that you're talking about that a unit owner is renting to someone, there very easily can be a disconnect, and if that's taken place, then to me that would be a big concern to put something against the management company.
Yeah, provided that they did send it out to all the owners.
Yeah. Now, we talked about at the very beginning of the show here too that it certainly seems to be the case. No matter where you stand with what you know about this particular case that's taking place, it is true that there seems to be a much more aggressive approach by HUD over the last few years in terms of going after cases that they would deem discriminatory. Is that something that you would agree with that statement?
I'm not sure if there's more lawsuits that we're seeing, or there's more discussion about it, but I think the feeling that I get, I don't have any hard numbers to support that, but the feeling I get is that and I don't know if it's that HUD's doing more or more people are realizing what rights they have under the laws, and because of suits like this, people say, wait a minute, I've got a similar case too, I'm going to make a big complaint.
Well, let me bring something up. This was something that was brought out this last summer. Sean Donovan, who is in charge of HUD, recently spoke at a gathering back in July, and concerning HUD and their activity, Sean Donovan declared during his speech to the NAACP back in July, he said, HUD is enhancing its enforcement techniques by initiating investigations on our own without even waiting for individuals to file complaints. Because of the subtle nature of discrimination, oftentimes, people don't even know they've been subjected to this abuse. Let's talk about that statement right there. To me, that seems a bit extreme, and I'm trying to put that nicely. They're saying, we're not even going to wait for people to file complaints because people don't even know when something's happening to them. To me, that seems a little bit arrogant to say, folks, you don't even know when something's bad's happening to you. We'll tell you when it is.
Right.
And so to me, there seems to be an attitude, and again, this is just my personal feeling here. There seems to be an attitude of a much more aggressive approach that would be, I guess, at its worst, like I said, showing arrogance, or in the very least, showing a very parental, I guess, way of going about life. And I think I have more of an optimistic view of people and people knowing when they feel that something is going wrong, and they don't need to be told that, but they can decipher that out for themselves.
Sure. It's a little troubling. It is in the statutes that HUD has the right to initiate their own suits. Mm-hmm. I have not seen one actually happen. And I don't know if he's just, talking to the masses and saying this is all the power we have and this is what we're going to do, and mm-hmm. kind of giving a warning out to.
Yeah. Part of the concern that I've had and what I've seen, and that probably goes to the fact that just doing this show for a number of years now and always scanning, looking for stories, across the country with what takes place, there seems to be an aggressiveness in this area. And what bothers me is we're talking about what's different in this particular case versus others. When you're talking about an agency like HUD, you're not talking about a person who's an elected official. When I elect someone to go to Congress to represent me or the state legislature, they've been put into their position by the will of the people because they want them to do something, because they liked what they've heard and how they want them to act. A lot of regulatory agencies are appointments and not an elected office, and so you don't have the same kind of, I don't think, same kind of accountability. And one of the things that I've seen over the last seems like 5 or 6 years or so, it seems like they say on the average that Washington is cranking out 1,000 new regulations a week, and from all the various regulatory agencies. And I'm just thinking, my goodness, if you are actually cranking out that many, how can you even keep track of that, let alone think of that as being meaningful? And here you have, and what I've seen because of my time at the legislature too, a lot of people have kind of a knee-jerk reaction where they try to, they see something that doesn't seem to set right with them initially, and boom, they want to write a law. They want to change something without first getting the facts. And I think there could be, with my experience, a lot of people who just really don't know or understand how an association works, and that's kind of troubling. We need to take a break. We've got one more segment, so let's do that right now. My guest is attorney Nigel Mendez with Carlson Associates. Don't go away. We'll wrap things up after these messages.